Today is finally the day we got our hands on both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. Today is November 11th and we actually got lucky and we got our PlayStation 5 a day early, which makes it even easier to make this video. I did initially plan to make two separate unboxing videos. I wrote two separate scripts, but I kind of just tossed them aside and decided to do everything all in one video. That being said, I did buy the Xbox One X and it was supposed to be here yesterday. It was but delayed by Amazon, so they ended up both arriving exactly at the same time, hence this video. So we're just gonna unbox these consoles, talk a little bit about the design, and you know what, just enjoy next gen. We're here, it's finally happening, and I am stoked. So the first thing you need to know is that the PlayStation 5 is humongous. I don't know if you could tell, but this box right here is much smaller than this one up here. Super crazy. You could tell each company went their own route with how they formed their console. When unboxing the PlayStation, you have all your accessories, wires, and instructions all at the top part of the box. And once you remove the lower box, you can then have access to the console itself. This console is wild. At first, I wasn't a big fan of it, and then the design kind of grew on me. The only concern I have is I have all my consoles wired through my walls into the closet, and there's not a lot of room on those shelves, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to fit both these consoles on there, especially with the PlayStation 5. But it comes with a USB-A to USB-C port to charge the controller, an HDMI 2.1 wire, and we can't forget the DualSense controller. I am so in love with the design they ended up choosing. It's much bigger, it fits much better in the hand. It's a little less rounded. It's kind of like as if you took a DualShock 4 and you married it with a Xbox One X or Series X controller. It just really has a great look to it. Then we have the Xbox Series Xbox. Xbox Series Xbox. You guess what I'm talking about. When opening, you get a really great presentation of the console itself, followed by the wires, the paperwork, and then the controller itself. This controller hasn't really changed much. It's slightly smaller. The back shoulder buttons are a little more rounded to make it easier for smaller hands. You also do have that new D-pad. Now, I never had a problem with this original Xbox controller design, but this new one is very welcome. It even has a share button added to it. So I am all in all very excited. So I'm just gonna read you a few specs just because I had this all written on separate scripts, so I just compiled it into one thing. Didn't memorize it yet, so I hope you guys bear with me, but a lot of people are wondering which console should they buy, which one's the most powerful console, and to be honest, there is quite a difference in power between the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. The PS5 itself has a 10.3 teraflops of power, while the Xbox Series X has 12 teraflops of power. That doesn't necessarily mean that one is better than the other. This one just packs a little bit more of a punch, but it really just comes down how the systems themselves are optimized in order to use that power. Both consoles do come with 16 gigabytes of DDR6 RAM, which is great because that's the current gen. The Xbox actually takes advantage of this by using RAM and some dedicated storage in order to use their quick resume feature, which lets you open and close games. I think it's up to 4 or 5. And you could just hop back into a game instead of loading everything from start. PS5, it doesn't do that. But the real important question is how much storage. So the PS5 does come with 825 gigabytes of storage. Now that's less than the PS4 Pro's 1 terabyte, and that is a little bit of a bummer, but I think that choice was made in order to save on costs, while the Xbox Series X comes out with 1 full terabyte. Also keep in mind that each operating system does take some storage, so you want to be well aware of that. Both consoles could do up to HK, which usually has a caveat. It's usually like 8K 30 frames per second, which isn't necessarily bad, but the more important thing is each console does have the ability to do 4K 120, which will be very beneficial for most people now that 4K televisions are more common than they were when the previous gen started. Do keep in mind these models sitting in front of me aren't the only models available. This is the PS5 disc version, so there is a version that is discless for $100 less, which is arguably a really good deal considering that the disk drives themselves are very cheap overall. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like between $25 and $50 to put in one of the systems. So for the fact that they knocked down $100 off the console purchase itself and everything else is still the same, I think that's a great deal. And then we also do have the Xbox Series S, which is the lower end model. It is discless as well, but it also only runs at 1440p depending on the game, and does have some graphical limitations compared to this one. That one comes in at $300, and for some people, if you're going to pick up this PS5 and just want a little taste of what's going on over at Microsoft, the cheaper model might be the better route to go. I am insane, so I bought both. If I didn't mention before, both of these models are exactly $500, which is great, and a lot of people like John from Spawnwave, who have opened the Xbox itself, have looked at what's inside to create this monster and believes it's a very good deal for what is in there, and thinks that Microsoft even took out a loss, well, a bigger loss than normal consoles when creating this model. Before I go, I just really wanted to touch base on this Xbox Series X and S controller. This one is nothing too different than what's in the box. I just happen to have a gift card for Amazon, so I used it to get an extra controller. This one is the Blue Shock, which is really gonna be nice to play with. I'll obviously put some B-roll over here so you can see what it looks like, what the packaging looks like. But yeah, guys, I'm really excited to play these games. If you have any questions at all before I release the review, let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer it in that review. And obviously, don't forget to sub if you found this video useful, if you found this interesting. I also do a whole bunch of other content where I review specific games and give my thoughts and ideas on that. So I greatly appreciate the like, the sub, and any other complaints, comments, anything that can help my channel grow. I really have a passion for this. I really do enjoy doing this, and I look forward to doing even more content in the future. But thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.